Yo, step in the vibe, it's the plug with Toya T. Unlocking dreams, we got the master key. We talking real talk, yeah, your destiny. Sis, you got the juice, let it pour, you see. Glow up vibes, stacking cash, what's good? Mind on right, we moving through the hood. Love and grind, keep it real, no cap.
The plug with Toya T, now picture that.
No ceilings here, we breaking through.
The plug with Toya T, got the game for you.
Big goals, big dreams, yeah, we staying true.
Tap in weekly, we got the vibe on cue.
Glow up vibes, stacking cash, what's good? Mind on right, we moving through the hood. Love and grind, keep it real, no cap.
The plug with Toya T, now picture that.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Toya T, and do we have a show for you this evening? I'm gonna give you guys a chance to come on in, and then we're gonna have my guest here, Troy, introduce himself just briefly so he can tell you a little bit about himself and his journey to how he got to this point. So while we're waiting for folks to join in, Troy, tell us a little bit about yourself. Just do a brief introduction.
Okay, my name is Troy Parker. I'm president of Innovative Labor and Cleaning and also Innovative Personal Development. I'm born and raised here in Cincinnati. I went to Finneytown for elementary school, St. John's also for elementary school. I went to Moeller High School for 3 years and ended up graduating from Purcell. I grew up predominantly in all white areas. My father was an entrepreneur. He had a cleaning business. And so we kind of lived, it's kind of, I would say, a double life. During the day, we would go to school in the suburban area. Then in the evening, we would clean with my mom. So we would go downtown and clean various buildings throughout Cincinnati. And we did that all the way up until I left for college. So we cleaned with my mom, either in homes or office buildings, pretty much our whole life. So we saw a lot of low-income people, more so in the evening, because those are a lot of people who do the cleaning and things like that. They did the cleaning in the building with my mom, and my stepmom, and my brothers, my two brothers, Mark and Eric. Then I had my older brothers, they were somewhere in college, because there's 8 of us total.
Wow.
So
And where do you fall in the order?
I'm the youngest of 8. My older brothers, Larry and Mike, Rick and Andre and my sister Kim, they grew up more so on the west side. And they had the same lifestyle. They went to Elder High School. I think Larry was my brother Larry was one of the first African Americans to go to Elder. And then from there, him and my brother Mike went on to Notre Dame on football scholarships. My brother Rick went to Roger Bacon. My brother Andre, he went to Moeller, like myself and my brother Mark. And then, like I said, I graduated with Purcell. My sister, she went to Mount Notre Dame.
So you guys all went to really great schools.
Yes.
I went to Princeton, so we came up against the Moeller boys quite a bit.
Okay.
I used to always make jokes that I don't know what they feed those Moeller boys. They used to come and beat our butts in football every single time. And so tell us a little bit about how you found yourself incarcerated. What is the story that led up to that? So you come from this tale of two cities of living in suburbia, working in the downtown urban core, and somehow you find yourself looking at a case. What was that?
After I went to college for like a year and a half, small little community college in Illinois.
Okay.
When I came back home, me and my wife, I got married I think in '87.
So you got married in your 20s?
Yeah, I think I was 19, she was 18, or I was 20, she was 19.
Wow.
We started a cleaning business. And I've only had like 2 jobs my whole life. I worked at Stop and Go for probably a year, and I worked at Arby's as a manager. But I started a cleaning business because my dad had done that. And my father had always told me, you're never going to get wealthy working for someone else. Also, in the years of cleaning, we cleaned for a lot of Jewish families, and you get insight from various Jewish families. And they always talked about owning your own business, buying real estate, things like that. So I started my cleaning business, and pretty much it went well all the way through the 90s. Early 2000s, I started living above my means.
How long were you in business by then?
Oh, by then, we started in '89, so by then, so it's been over 10 years. So we were always through the 90s, so early 2000, I've been in business over like 11 years. And I started basically the same thing a lot of people do, buying, more cars than I needed, bigger home than I needed, and
Living a lavish life.
living a lavish life. And I started not taking care of the business. So when the business started to go down, I began to do different types of financing, and I got into wire fraud because I had sold a factoring company some fraudulent invoices. And
So tell us what a factoring company is, just for folks that are, kind of leaning in.
Okay.
Some might be wanting to know because they might need to get some funding. Some might be wanting to know just so they can stay
Okay.
away from it or whatever.
It's not a bad thing. A factoring company is a company that, say you have an invoice for $1,000. You can take it to the factoring company and say, okay, I'm gonna give you this invoice for $1,000, and they'll give you $800 of that $1,000 right away. So you can pay payroll, pay your rent, pay your business expenses.
And these are legitimate companies that
Yeah,
exist
like, you go to, you might go to ABC companies, a legitimate company, they know the invoice is good, they'll say ABC will pay their bill, and the factoring company will take the invoice, they'll give you the $800. When the bill is paid, the whole thousand is paid, they take a 2 or 4% of the invoice, and they give you the difference. So on that invoice, you might pay $75, they give you back the difference. So I had given a factoring company $1 million worth of invoices, and they had given me like 800,000, and they found out within 2 days the invoices weren't good.
And so did you make up the invoices? Were the invoices real?
No, the invoices weren't. No, they weren't real. They were for a job we were going to do, and we were committed to do the job.
Okay.
And they said they were going to do it, but the job wasn't done. In factoring, you're supposed to have done the work, then you sell the invoice.
Okay.
So
So you can't sell an invoice
until you
pre.
right.
Right. Okay.
So I was basically, they call it factoring ahead. So when they would ask for the money back, I had $249,000 of it. My old factoring company had like over $500,000 of it. I gave the money back I had. The old factoring company wouldn't give the 500 or so back they had. And by law, they didn't have to. So the FBI was called in, and for 4 or 5 years, there was nothing. Now, in between there, what I did was I went and got a loan fraudulently. This is where I got into the problem with bank fraud, which was my second charge, which came later. I made an agreement to try to pay back the $500,000, so I went and got a loan, and I said, hey, I'll give you $100,000 now, and I'll pay you X amount each month. I'll give you some each month. So on the civil side, we settled the $500,000, and I started paying them back. But the FBI with the feds, they just kind of put you on like a simmer. They don't move real fast. It's
just checking in on you.
Yeah, they never said anything to me. They never came and saw me or anything.
So how did you know that there was an FBI case? Was there ever like
because the factoring company who kept the money said, hey, the FBI came and saw me, and this is what I told them, and yada, yada, yada. So once I started paying the money back to the person who was the victim, I figured, okay, the FBI would leave it alone. So I paid it down to like $250,000. But 2 weeks before the statute of limitations came, they indicted me for basically for the wire fraud.
And which part was the wire fraud?
The wire fraud was selling the fraudulent invoices, giving the fraudulent invoices. Now, while I was sitting in county jail, and I went to county jail as my own fault because I had bond, and I went out and tried to get another bank loan, trying to cover, pay back the guy the money quicker, and I lost my bond. So while I'm sitting in the county jail, they started looking into other stuff, and they found out about the bank loans I had been getting over the course, because it had been 5 years. Because
since they had caught.
Yeah, the wire fraud happened. The actual event that kicked off the wire fraud happened in '98. So it was just a one-time event that happened in '98. Basically, in '99, 2000, 2001, 2002, I was getting bank loans all that time. I would pay some back to the guy, and then some I would live off of. I was still living above my means. So when I got locked up in 2004, then they started going back saying, oh, he had a loan here, he had a loan here. So I went to trial. They found me guilty. They wanted to give me 5 years. They said because we're gonna factor in all the bank fraud and everything. It was my first time. I was scared. I was like, I don't want to go to prison. You know, I've been in county jail. I don't want to be gone for 5 years. It seems like so long.
Right.
So the judge only gave me 30 months. I'm thinking, great. But she told me, hey, they can come and indict you on this bank fraud. But I'm thinking, they're not going to do nothing. It's over, I'm good. I go finish my time out because I had did like a year in the county jail. I only had to do like a year and a half in actual prison. And I went to a camp that time.
Okay.
So it was like you can walk.
So is that like a white collar?
Yeah, it was Morgantown. I think they closed it now. There was a camp. It used to be a boys' camp. I think the Kennedy family originally built it, but it was like a camp. It just felt like we were at a camp. I mean, there were ducks flying around, and little muskrats or groundhogs would come out there. You could literally just walk off it if you
So
wanted.
it was a free range.
Yeah, so it wasn't real. County jail was a lot more violent. The camp, nobody really. You didn't really have a lot there because nobody wanted to get kicked up to a medium or high.
Right.
When I got out of there, I was out 18 months. Then they indicted me on the bank fraud.
And from the bank fraud, where'd you go?
Then I got 10, went to trial then, got convicted, got 10 years, and I went down to FMC Lexington.
Now what is that? Is that minimum security or minimum?
I think they call it minimum because it stands for Federal Medical Center.
Okay.
So a lot of people think, oh, it's like a camp, but it's not. You have a fence and everything. But the thing is you have people there from all levels. Because a lot of guys will come there, because they have medical needs and whatnot. And they could have came from a high penitentiary, whatever. So you have a mix of a whole lot of people.
Okay. And is it dangerous?
Oh yeah. I mean, all prison, any setting, even in the camp, it can be dangerous. I mean, I'm not saying like you're gonna see someone stabbed every day, but I mean, yeah, you see a good share of violence, yeah. I mean, so that's why I always try to tell them, like when I talk to kids or I go to, classrooms and talk to these kids and they see things out in the street on TV and they think, okay, I can do the time. It's not what they think. I mean, because, your life, it's totally different than the street because you're not gonna have that gun.
Right.
And a lot of these guys will go pick up a gun and they'll be real quick. Nobody, like when I grew up, you fought with your hand. But a lot of the younger kids, they just want to pick up a gun, they're going to shoot at you from a distance. When you're in prison, it's close quarters. I mean, it's hand to hand. And a lot of times, things are just squashed by, you just fight them out.
Right.
I mean, there's been many times they'll say, hey, we got a problem with somebody from X area, because in federal prison it's by your state. So if you're from Ohio, from DC, from Texas, they call them cars. That's how you roll.
So why didn't you go to Ohio prison?
No, it's federal.
Oh, okay.
It's federal. So the federal prisons are just where they're at. There's federal prisons in Ohio, but it's not like the state of Ohio. Like the state, you just go to prisons in Ohio. The feds.
So the feds just pick where they're going to send
you can go, FMC, what the F, and you'll be way over in California. I mean, act up, they'll send you someplace. I mean, you'll be from Cleveland and you'll be over, over in Texas.
Okay,
So-
because you did federal crimes. So
Yeah, they can send you. They try to put you close by, but if you start acting up or they don't like you or whatever, you'll end up, someone you don't want to be.
All right. Okay. What was the hardest part about being incarcerated for almost 10 years?
You lose your freedom. You have no freedom. You're told what to do. Your connections. I mean, all the people you think you're close to. And, I tell people this all the time. All your boys, all your girls, you're making a ring in the club. When you get locked up, them people forget you.
Mm-hmm.
You got about maybe 2-3 weeks, and then people, it's just they go on with their lives.
Right.
They're not going to be.
They're not coming to visit.
They're not coming to
sending
visit.
cards.
Yeah, some of your family's going to be upset with you. My brothers, my siblings, they were upset. So for 2-3 years, I didn't hear from any of them. My mother's the only one who was with me all the time, and then my wife at the time. But you lose, you got 10 people around you. If you keep one, you'll be lucky.
Because it's hard to stay down. You got all the songs and rap culture, that's still down, right? People talk about Monica and how she's stayed with her guy. I forget what his name is. But it's one of those things that I think in theory it sounds like it's something that people will do, but in practice it doesn't happen.
And they tell you. When you get in there, you get the older guys in there, they'll tell you, hey, quit worrying about that girl, quit she gonna move on. And no woman is gonna stay out here, or no man, because I remember a guy asked me, like, oh, he said, you think your little wife's gonna wait your whole bed? I'm like, oh yeah. And he's like, well, if she got locked up for that long, would you wait? And I was like, damn.
No.
It ain't gonna happen. So a lot of guys just tell their girl, like, do what you do, just I don't want to hear about it, and they don't ask. You know, so my wife, we stayed married until I think it was like the last 2 years I was in, and she said, hey, I'm lonely, I want to meet somebody, da-da-da, and I'm like, hey, I understand, go ahead. And honestly, that was the easiest time in the last 2 years because you stop worrying about it. Because basically the way your mind works, you're going to sit there and be picturing your girl doing this, picturing your wife doing this, da-da-da. You mentally torment yourself, so every phone call you're waiting for that, I'm leaving you, and you don't get it, and you leave for the next phone call. But it's just mental torment. And I notice the guys who just cut the girls off or they split,
It's split ties.
they have a lot more peaceful time in prison. Because there's enough you got to worry about in prison that
Than
didn't
to
worry
worry
about.
about the family outside of.
Right.
Do you feel like the criminal justice center and the system itself is reforming people?
No, it's not really set up to reform. It's not really set up to reform people. You got to reform yourself. The first 2 years I was in there, I mean, at first when you get in there, you're gonna go through hell, I wanted to kill myself. I'm like 10 years. 10 years seems like so long. You take you to a place. FMC Lexington was not. It looks like an old castle on the outside. It was moldy inside. It was old. The doors didn't close right. You had no air conditioning. I'm like, I can't do it. Then over time, you start getting in a routine, but it was 2 years before I took responsibility and said, I put myself here. But there's nothing in prison. They'll teach you like little things like you want to learn Microsoft Word. They'll give you a little program, but if you really want to change yourself, you got to put the time in. And most guys that go in, at least when I was there, they'll watch the TV, they'll do the gambling, they'll do this and this and that, and they'll waste the time. And then the scariest I've ever seen people is that month before they're about to go home, and they'll come like, hey man, I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get out of here, but you don't wasted 5, 6, 7 years or longer.
And you look forward to going home, but
You
then
look forward, but then it's kind of like Shawshank Redemption. When that one man came to the halfway house, he checked in and he hung himself. He had been in so long, he didn't have any idea how he was gonna make it.
Yeah.
Where me, I had a plan. I had a little legal piece of paper, and a little legal tablet, and I wrote down exactly what I was gonna do when I got out. When I got to that halfway house, I only had $500. And so I went and I incorporated, I got my workers' comp, got my liability insurance, and I bought 500 business cards. I had like $26 left, and I went to Panera Bread to eat. And then from there, I started passing those cards out downtown. I didn't go get a job, but you're supposed to get a job in the halfway house. So really, if I got caught, I went back to prison. But I wasn't noticeable. I stayed little. I didn't come in, late. I didn't come in drinking. They just thought, that's Parker. By the time I left the halfway house, I was in there 6 months. When I left the halfway house, we had grossed over $480,000. And I was getting.
Was it a cleaning service?
Yeah, I started a new business. I incorporated everything. When I came home, I used to go down to the library. I used to leave Vine Street, Talbot House, walk up to Clifton Library, and that was my little office. I would just get on there, and I didn't know nothing about computers. When I left, you were still faxing. When I came out, people had a smartphone, people scanning. Somebody told me to scan them something. I didn't know what the hell they talking about.
What was the hardest part about coming out?
That and people and having people around you. Because when you don't realize how messed up you are when you're in, but in prison it's kind of like COVID. If we're cool, we'll talk close. But if we ain't cool, you're gonna stay like good 6 feet away from me. You ain't gonna just come on, no.
Don't come close.
You don't know.
In my personal
The
space.
people you hang with, your boys, they do. But you have a lot of respect in prison because at any time you disrespect someone, it can go. I've seen guys get their ears ripped off their head, like get hit with a lock for disrespecting the guy, and you never know who's in that mood. You never know who got that call. So you're respectful. You're like, hey, you excuse me. You accidentally bump somebody. You don't go in here wilding out like you see a lot of people do. So when I came out, you don't realize you have been stressed so long. You're just in a constant you're just alert. So when I came out, you don't realize you have been stressed so long. You're just in a constant you're just alert. It's kind of like PTSD.
I was gonna say PTSD.
Yeah, because a white man came and stood next to me when I was at the Panera Bread, and he got real close, and I jumped because it was the first time. And then and then after that, I started going to see a psychologist because because I didn't like being in crowds. I didn't like people up close to me, and I'm like, okay, I gotta get some help because but you don't realize it till you come home
Back
and you
into
start
the
around.
real
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, were there moments in? Oh, it wasn't penitentiary. It was.
No,
What was it called?
it was a federal medical center, but it was just like a prison. I mean, you had rooms. So like you had a room like I had a 2-man room. Some rooms are 8 men, some were 6 men, some were 4-man room. And then some rooms might have a bathroom. Others they had to go down the hallway. And then they just all used a common bathroom.
So what was the crime of your roommate?
Drugs distribution.
Okay.
He was East St. Louis.
And so what was he distributing? Was it
Cocaine.
cocaine? Okay. So you're still in the vicinity with people that are doing, all kinds of different types of crimes.
Oh yeah, I mean you had guys who might have had drug offenses and maybe had shot somebody, or they had the felon in possession. You had guys that had white collar crimes. You had people who had did
Would robbery have been there, or robbery?
Yeah, you had bank robbers because that's federal because it's a bank.
Okay.
So you had bank
anything
robbers
federal.
Yeah, then you had a lot of. At first, when I got the FMC, you didn't have a lot of child molesters. You didn't because they would come in and they call it run them up top. They'd come in and they steal their stuff, and basically they check into the hole and then they ship them somewhere else. By the time I left, they had started sending them there because it was less violent than sending them to because they can't go to a camp. So a lot of the people who had sex crimes and things like that, they would send them there because it was easier than like a medium or low. So by the time I left, you had a larger number of them than you had when I first got there. When I first got there, you might have had 10, 20 of them.
And then they started to send them more often, probably because they were facing so much violence.
Yeah, I mean, either way they go, but then once you put them there, because at first, guys take their stuff, slap them around, tell them get the fuck out of here, then they run up and tell CO, oh, hey man, I want to check it, and they go shit again. And everybody would just laugh, because it's like, even the CO, they didn't care. So, but once they started getting numbers, then it was a little different because there was more of them.
Right, so then they have like a little group.
Yeah, then you have a little gang. I'm not gonna say they got the same respect as like like a Crip or Blood or other gangs that you have in there. But when you had 20 or something, and then you have like 200 of them, it's a little different.
Yeah. And so, what would you say to somebody that's trying to run a business now, and they might be thinking, "Ooh, this could be illegal. Maybe I shouldn't do this," or They might start with something small and then it turns into something bigger. What advice would you give to them?
I would tell people, a lot of times when people do things, most crimes, normally most people don't just wake up and say, I'm going to go commit a crime. Most of the time, even myself included, you start just, doing something that's just a little bit, okay, I'm going to, do this. Then it kind of, either you get used to the money and the lifestyle, I'll do it again, and you think you won't get caught. Because that's what I thought. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just doing it, I'm paying them back, I'm really not doing anything, other people do it. And other people do it. But that doesn't mean, when they come.
That's right.
Yeah, because you can't just say, well, hey, Bob's over there doing it too. It doesn't work that way. So just, when you're in business or whatever you're doing, I don't care if you're not in business, say you're just, out there, just do things that I guess do it. I don't want to sound like corny, like do it the right way, but as African Americans, you got to remember there's things we do that you're not gonna get away with as easy as others. So you have to be willing to like, okay, if I do this, these could be the consequences.
Right.
And nobody thinks they're gonna end up in prison, or some people think, well, it's glorified, but to all the young men, I try to tell them, you don't. There's no females in prison. So unless you like men, you're not going to be happy there. And I see guys, they go into prison, and then they change while they're in prison, they come back out, But I mean, you're not gonna see your family. You can't just grab your cell phone, call people. You're totally just disconnected. So you have to create your whole new life. And the way you carried yourself out here, you're not gonna be able to carry it that way in prison because you'll get hurt. I mean, it's very serious. I mean, I didn't, they tell you to come in, hey, keep your head down, mind your own business, be respectful, but you have a lot of guys come in there and they was wild on the street and they think they're gonna pull that in prison and it ain't like that.
It ain't happening.
No.
So what helped you get through it?
Mine was, I did a lot of personal development. I mean, not so much the first year and a half. I started reading books, Think and Grow Rich, a book called The Meduna Terror. It's by Rhonda Farrar Mann. It's an African spiritual book. And I started really looking at, I've always been interested in how the mind works, and I always was like how I got myself here. And then, I would blame the judge. I hated the judge. I hate the judge. But then one day I was walking around the track, and this took years, probably like my third or fourth year. And I heard a voice, and it said, "You put yourself here." Mm-hmm. But it wasn't a voice like me talking to myself. You could tell it was something else.
It was like, God.
And then when I started taking responsibility, like, okay, I did this, and I knew it, things just started to shift. Then I started making my plan. What was I going to do when I get out? Because there's so many guys in there with skills. At one camp, Morgantown, they had a call center. People from that free world would call, give orders, give their credit card. These guys were taking the credit cards and filling the orders. At FMC, they made parts for the military, speakers or something for the military. Mm-hmm. Plus, you had guys do asbestos, the boiler room. Everything that's done out here in the free world, there's people in there that are inmates that do it. So when I got out, I'm like, I could have a business that gave inmates second chances and did these type of jobs. Right. So when I got out, I started looking in the construction field, like, hey, I have to give you labor, and I would get the guys from other halfway houses because I wanted to give opportunities to people like me. Because as I sat there over the 5, 6, 7 years, you see Ray Sean go home. Everybody said, oh, he's going home. 2 years later, you see him come back, beard all looking dusty, stumbling all day. You're like, damn, man, what the hell happened? And once he sit down and tell you, man, I was doing good, then I lost my job, they hired me, then they said, they can't hire me because of my record, that kept happening and shit. I just started, they'll start selling drugs, or they start using drugs. Then they get back into it. So society, they've gotten better at it, but they think, okay, you let these guys out of prison, and then you give them the opportunities, I guess people think they're just gonna sit on the porch and go without. Right. Well, my attitude is like, hey, these guys want to work. They got dreams. They got goals. Give them opportunity. Mm-hmm. So, over the time I've been doing this, we provide transportation. Our office is right here at 4903 Vine Street. All they got to do is get up here to the office. We got like 10, 11 vans. We take them to the job sites, bring them back to the office. So I take the transportation problem out the way. Mm-hmm. I take the felon problem out the way because we'll give you a job. Single moms, the daycare problem. Most times I'll give you the first one from daycare. And then, when you get your first check, you give me like $50 or $75 of that back. And then you got to keep it going ahead, but I pay the month ahead. So I've tried to take the obstacles that keep, single moms out of the workforce, guys out of the workforce, things that they used to be able to say, well, hey, I can't get a rising job. I can't get a daycare. Mm-hmm. I try to take those obstacles out the way and then, give them employment.
And what kind of employment are you giving them?
Most of ours is in like construction-related trades. If they have a trade, a lot of it's like labor, cleaning, just basic general labor. Now some guys come out, and it's not just African Americans. I get, a lot of white guys come out, and they'll have trades, but it's more so in the construction field. But we'll do staffing. We do staffing for anyone. So it can be, putting boxes together. It can be, and like somebody like a marketing company or a distribution company. It can be picker packer. It can be working at a food service company. Anything. Okay. But I always have more people than I have jobs.
Right.
So I'm always looking for companies that say, hey, let's partner. I got this workforce. I'll keep them. I'll keep it with people. But then helping them, not just give them a job. Helping them change their mindset, that's where the personal development piece comes in. Mm-hmm. So like I'll make videos and I'll put them out on Mondays And then it can be about depression, it can be about self-image, it can be about goal setting. And then I ask the employees, our team members, say, hey, respond. Then the first 3 that respond, they'll get $50.
Right.
But you gotta respond like, something, how it helps you, how you can relate to it, things like that.
Okay. And so can you let the audience know if they are an employer and they want to connect in with you, if they are looking for a job or they know someone that is looking for a job? Let's give them the contact information so they can reach out to you. You're here locally in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Do you cover anywhere outside of Cincinnati or just strictly in?
No, we go from Columbus all the way down to Louisville.
Okay.
So our office at 4903 Vine Street, Cincinnati, Ohio. The phone number is 513-818-8008. And there's somebody there, pretty much 9 to 3 every day.
Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate you coming out
Thanks for having
to
me.
tell us your story and to just give folks a little hope that there are opportunities outside of that. Life after lockup is what we've been leaning into. So we appreciate it. And do you guys have any questions? Are there any questions on there that we need to be aware of? No questions. All right. Well, that's a wrap then. It will be on YouTube. It'll be on TikTok and Facebook. You can check out the show if you didn't catch it live. All right. We appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you.